Chapter 8 of Deliver Me from Eva by Paul Bailey. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Ben Tucker. Chapter 8. A feature of the doctor's mansion, and doubtless the genetical source of Eva's inspiration and architectural design for Thalamus, was the wheel-like arrangement of its rooms and apartments. The atelier itself, skylighted and circular in shape, appeared to be the hub and center. We entered through one of the 7 doors equally spaced about its perimeter. I marveled at what my eyes beheld. Not a single item in this room seemed discordant or out of harmony with the whole, all the more remarkable when its functional and utility value were considered. The doors closed flush with the plane. Surgical paraphernalia, reference books, and medical necessities occupied recessed shelves between the doors, with their glass covers closed to the contour of the walls. As Eva had promised, the softly exciting hues of dawn were unforgettably blended into its wall color, the spectrum's deep reds and violets diminishing to the lighter and softer yellows as the eye lifted skyward. A narrow cyclorama, strikingly done in the same spectral tones, marked the juncture of wall and windowed ceiling. About its circle was depicted the rise of the healing art from dim and savage past to the heights to which Craner himself imagined he was bringing it. In the room's center stood a padded and white-leathered table of most ingenious design. It had nickeled slots to accommodate various accessories, and was swiveled at the base for tilting at any angle to the perpendicular. The doctor's pedestal, an elaborate one, with nickeled apertures for trays and straps, was immediately behind the treatment table's skull clamps. We waited respectfully while Castleman held arm for the doctor to swing himself to its top. Insa's cries had unnerved me, and my hates and suspicions were plaguing me anew. Eva must have sensed this, for she pressed my hand reassuringly.
"She's such a pitiful creature. Because we love her, we keep her around. And she tries so hard. These spells come periodically. She'll be over it in an hour."
"Since your father claims to be such a head marvel," I said a little sarcastically, "why doesn't he cure her?" The shot went home, and Eva colored perceptibly.
"Insa is under treatment, Mark."
"This is an auspicious and important moment for myself and my children," Dr. Craner was saying from his pedestal. "A new member has entered our little family group, and it is my pleasure to explain to him the rudimentary facts of the great thing we have pledged our lives to accomplish. Osmond, will you prepare the exhibit?"
Like a dutiful son, Osmond relinquished his dinner coat to Castleman, and from one of the wall cabinets donned a shoulder-buttoned white doctor's smock. I watched, slightly contemptuous, while the youth hooked a glass-topped instrument tray to an aperture in the doctor's pedestal. A smile crossed my face as Osmond lugged out a base-mounted human skull for the doctor's analysis, and my edification.
"What are you thinking of?"
Eva whispered. "That I'm either attending some horror movie or that we're all slightly mad. All that's needed is for the clock to strike 12.
Insa's fit still worries you, doesn't it, Mark?
"I'd like a double martini," was my noncommittal reply.
"Come closer, Mark,"
the doctor was saying as he ran an affectionate hand over the glistening skull. Eva led me to him. I lit a cigarette. Castleman retired with Osmond's coat.
"The medical world no longer is so ready to scoff at spinal therapy. There can be no further doubt that manipulation of the vertebrae to free the blocked nerve impulses in this, the psychic switchboard to the body, has a sound therapeutic basis. When you consider that every cell of the human body is utterly dependent on its lymphatic supply for food, and its nerve terminals for direction, you can readily understand the essential necessity of an unimpeded flow of nerve impulses through the complex and wondrous telephonic system with which nature has provided us. Block a nerve and you have isolated and rendered useless the cells which depend on it for the source flow of life.
Then, if you release a spinal impingement, it will have a direct and beneficial effect on the cells, say, in our toes," I volunteered.
"In your toes," the doctor replied with bitterness. "That, briefly, is the theory upon which spinal therapy is based. I, for one, believe it sound, true, and logical."
"You're a spinal therapist?"
"My earlier studies had much to do with this branch of the healing art. I mastered all it had to offer, but time demonstrated its inherent limitations. My chart, Osmond."
I pondered the doctor's statements while Osmond erected the illustrated spinal chart from a swiveled arm on the doctor's pedestal. I was growing weary. I was anxious to take my wife to bed. "The spinal column," he declared, pointing at the chart with his long index finger, "is the distribution center of every nerve in the body. Here the millions upon millions of tiny fibers are gathered into one great rope, traveling upward to the cranial box." He pointed to the box. "Both spinal cord and the eyes are extended parts of the brain. The psychic center, the master control, the seat of intelligence, is the great nub atop the spinal trunk, the mysterious and wondrous terminus, housed in the bony cavity." "Ava explained how you had discovered the mobility of the skull plates," I added. "You adjust them as a pinch doctor adjusts a vertebra?" "Exactly. Most authorities conclude that the 22 bony segments are immovable, and many have written so. It is my contention that they are so joined for movement, and nature intended them to expand and contract." "It sounds plausible, though you may find difficulty in convincing the world of it." "I long ago proved the truth of it, my son." It was fascinating to watch his big hands move tenderly over the polished skull. They fondled it and caressed it, as a mother fondles and caresses an only child. "Note the saw-toothed junctures," he eagerly suggested. "Look at this point, where the coronal and squamosal sutures join the frontal, parietal, spheroidal, and temporal plates. The sutures are movable. I can extend the girth of your head 1/4 of an inch with one adjustment. Osmond can tell you that I am opening his occipital, this bone at the base of the neck, to an unbelievable amount. For one last proof, I ask you to observe the beasts of the field. In yawning, they'll move the bones of their heads as though they were hinged, which they are. They even extend and contract their eye sockets." "You make it sound plausible," I agreed. "That secret, with its proper application, will remake the world." I looked at the legless wonder and wagged my head in astonishment. Am I to infer that the almost unbelievable accomplishments of Ava and Osmond are evidence and proof of this therapy? "All that and more, my son. Their perfection of face and figure, their psychic harmony and balance, and my own increasing intellectual attainments are all indisputable proof of a new light soon to dawn upon the world. The people you see in this room have almost reached the stage where they may draw on infinite intelligence at will. Can you doubt the significance of our gift?" Before I married Ava Craner, I was a hard-headed attorney, grounded in the sordid business of the law. The fantastic and the supernatural has no place in the mundane business I follow. I'm sorry, but I find it a bit difficult to believe that playing a man's head like an accordion can make him either witty, wise, or beautiful. "Dare you try a little experiment?" the doctor asked. I faltered at that point. I harbored no especial yearning for Dr. Craner's big hands to wrap themselves about my skull.
"Go ahead," Ava urged. "You'll love it, Mark. Honest you will."
I grinned at her while Osmond carried away the skull and chart. "Love it?" I asked. "It must be just ducky to have your occipital bone stretched 2 inches out of line."
"Don't be absurd, Mark. Father will stretch no bones of yours 2 inches. You can't expect much movement at first. Your head's hard."
"Glad you smiled when you said that," I growled in mock anger. She laughed that merry, tinkling laugh and tossed her honey-colored hair in a way that stepped up my pulse. A man really needed his cranium stretched to hold all the gay and ribald thoughts her beauty could engender.
"There's no pain, Mark, I promise. It's a wonderful sensation. You'll feel a release of power and vigor that you haven't experienced since you were 20.
"Give me your coat," Osmond suggested, stepping to my side.
"It's stimulating, and you'll find it an enjoyable experience."
I hesitated. The fears rose again. I looked at Ava, and her guileless smile urged me onward. I stared at the pedestaled physician. "There's no danger?" I cautiously asked. His smile, reassuring and paternally tolerant of my fears, goaded my pride as a man. "My children have grown healthy under it," he said. "You really think there's no danger?" "Of course not, my son." "Very well," I said, peeling off my coat and tossing it to Osmond. "Only remember, if I say stop, I mean stop." As I mounted the table and laid my neck in the nickeled rest, I could not help but think of Ava and her adjustment earlier in the day. I was recalling with gratitude the fact that I had not been asked to thus strip for the act, when I felt the table tilt slightly downward, and my toes rise 6 inches above my head. I heard the doctor's castered pedestal move close to the back of my head, and I watched a little nervously while Osmond harnessed his father's flat buttocks to the perch.
"Now please relax,"
the doctor said, patting my cheeks with the same caressing tenderness he had rendered the skull.
"If you'll turn your eyes upward in the sockets until you see the bluish light on the skylight casing, and hold your gaze at that point, you'll find every muscle in your body will release its tension. Only in that condition do you achieve the greatest benefit."
Obligingly, I rolled my eyes upward in their sockets. There was discomfort for a moment, but that quickly passed.
"Rest, rest,"
I heard the doctor's vibrantly soft voice say to me, and by degrees I grew less and less conscious of my body and limbs.
"Rest,"
the doctor said again, and his hands softly moved across my forehead, over the temples and downward to the base of my head. The doctor leaned over me, our eyes met, and he drew his fingers across my vision and upward. I lay, a mind released, as though floating in air. I felt the firm pressure of his hands, a crackling sensation in my brain, and I floated on a limpid sea of lethargy and indifference. Rebellion fled. I no longer hated the doctor. In utter fascination, the blue light welded itself to my gaze. Occasionally I saw the doctor's face, and contentedly smiled back to it. The crackling ceased, and though his hands kneaded at my head, I grew drowsy. I remember now the dream which came upon me, of my life as a farm boy, gazing upward from the straw stack's comfort to the soft cloud webs in the turquoise sky, of the luxuriant half-stupor and abandonment of earthly cares of which only childhood is capable. I heard again Dr. Craner's voice, and in firm tones he was talking to me. I was conscious that what he said was right, and I hungrily listened for it again.
"You will love us, Mark Allard," he was saying. "You will be one with us. Never desire again for your other life. Find contentment, joy, and beauty in Thalamus. Sire children for the great cause. Sire them in perfection and in beauty. Living, breathing testimonials to the cause to which you are now committed."
The next thing I remembered was Ava kissing me, and of Osmond and Ava helping me from the table.
"That wasn't so bad,"
she whispered in my ear.
"Was it, darling?"
"It was wonderful," I agreed. "Truly wonderful." And then I remembered the door flying open, of Osmond letting go my arm, of the screeching, howling Insa bursting suddenly into my presence.
"Don't let them do it!" she howled in my face. "Don't do it! Don't do it!"
I was glad when Castleman grabbed her. I was glad when he dragged her out. I was glad when all was quiet again. I wanted no noise. I wanted no confusion. I wanted my bedroom, and I wanted my bride. With giddy joy I lighted a cigarette, while Ava pumped in and out of my vision like a camera seeking focus. "Come, my beauty," I cried in drunkard's delight. "Come, my gracious, lovely woman." She patted my arm reassuringly. "Come," I moaned. "We'll trod the path." End of chapter 8.